In today's video, we're going to take a look at the NHL standings and make some predictions here on who's going to make the playoffs as we approach the tail end of the NHL regular season. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Around 2 weeks ago, we did a video similar to this where we were discussing the NHL standings and making some predictions on who would make the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, obviously things have changed quite a bit since then. A lot of teams have either declined or gone on a run, so I thought we should take a look at this again and kind of revamp some of our predictions because some of them just aren't looking real good right now. So if you missed that other video, there'll be a YouTube card up here. You can go back and you can compare that prediction compared to this one, but obviously it's hard to make some predictions here, but we're taking a look and we're going to kind of take another stab at this on who's going to make the playoffs now that we're later in the season. Hopefully this is a little bit more accurate. Obviously it's just for fun, just a prediction, so if we're wrong, so be it. I don't expect to get these all right. Some of them are easy to pick and some of them are really kind of tough in a sense. So let's take a look here at the NHL standings. We'll go division by division and we'll take a look at who I think is going to make the playoffs this coming playoff season, which is not far away now. We're into the home stretch. Most teams have anywhere from 7, 8, 9 games left, so not far away at all. So let's start here with the Eastern Conference. Let's start with the Atlantic Division. Obviously right now we've got Tampa, Boston, and Toronto, 1, 2, 3. Based on their schedules right now, I was kind of looking to think maybe Boston could go on a run here and maybe overtake Tampa, but I honestly think based on schedule, it is remotely possible because Boston does have some games left with Tampa. So if they win those games, and they beat them not too long ago as well by a score of 3-0. But my only concern with Boston is they've got a lot of injuries, and even though the injuries haven't really slowed them down as of yet, as time wears on here, that very well could happen. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Tampa stays in first, Boston finishes a very close second, and then we've got the Maple Leafs in third place, and I think things are going to remain the same. Now let's jump over to the Metro Division. We'll discuss the top 3 there, and then we'll take a look at the wild card spots and see who we think is going to finish in those 2 positions. Now in the Metropolitan Division, right now we've got Washington, Pittsburgh, and Columbus. I think there's going to be a little bit of a change there. Obviously, as we know, the Columbus Blue Jackets, which are one of the teams making my old predictions look bad, I had them going down lower, and instead they've gone on a run to the exact opposite. So Columbus has been on fire lately. I'm going to say Washington holds on and wins the division, but I think Columbus just very well might edge out Pittsburgh. Right now they have the same number of points. The reason I'm going with Columbus is I think if you take a look at the 2 schedules, I think Columbus is going to have a little bit easier way to finish up the season here. So I think that because of that, they might get ahead of Pittsburgh. It's not going to be by a lot. I think both teams are going to be very neck and neck. Maybe 1 or 2 points at most will separate them. But if you take a look at Columbus' schedule, they've got games coming up here in Western Canada, Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. They play Detroit. They also play Pittsburgh, Nashville, as well as St. Louis. So, I mean, really, there's 4 out of 7 games there on non-teams, like non-playoff teams that theoretically, I know it's not a given, but they should win those games. They're on quite a run right now. They do have to play Pittsburgh once. The winner of that game very well might determine who finishes second, who finishes third. But right now, because of that, if you take a look at Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh plays Philly, Detroit, Montreal, New Jersey, Washington, Columbus, and Ottawa. So they don't have a terrible schedule either, but I think Columbus is just going to have a little bit easier time. And plus, if Columbus wins that game in Pittsburgh, against Pittsburgh, then I think they'll finish in second place. So right now, my prediction is going to be Washington, Columbus, Pittsburgh for your top 3. So obviously that's Columbus going on a run is going to knock Philly and New Jersey down here a little bit. So right now, for the wild card spots, Florida Panthers have been charging. You get the Flyers and the Devils that are kind of hanging on there right now. But personally, I think the Panthers are going to knock one of them out, and I think it's going to be New Jersey. Philly's been able to get enough of a cushion ahead of the Devils right now that I think they're a little bit more safe. So I'm going to say Philadelphia is going to be wild card 1. And the Florida Panthers are going to be wild card 2. So like I said in my other prediction video, that does make it 4 teams from each division. With Philly being the top wild card and Florida being the second wild card, there won't be any crossovers. You'll see Tampa against Florida, You're going to see Washington against Philly, and then you see Boston against Toronto, and Pittsburgh against Columbus. So there's some interesting matchups there for sure. Some of them we've seen before, and some of them are new. So it should be fun. We'll see if any of these predictions hold true. One series that definitely would be new would be Tampa against Florida. So that definitely would be interesting. And these other series we've all seen at some point in time in the past. So we'll see how things go here, but that's my prediction for the Eastern Conference. So leave some comments down below. Let me know, what do you think? Do you think that these predictions are going to hold true? Or do you think a different team, especially for the wild cards, do you think they, for example, can the Devils get in over the Panthers? Leave me some comments down below and let me know your thoughts. Let's jump over to the Western Conference. Right now, we're going to start here with the Pacific Division. That one's, in my opinion, a little bit easier to predict. Now, in the other video, we had, at that point, LA was not in third place. And I said they were going to jump up and make it into third. So far, they've done that. So we'll see if I can actually be accurate on one of these predictions. So right now, we've got Vegas, San Jose, and LA. And I do believe it's going to stay that way. If you take a look at the LA schedule, they've got Dallas, Minnesota, Colorado, Anaheim, Arizona, Edmonton, Calgary. So they've got the last 4 games. Like they've got 4 or 5 games there against non-playoff teams. So I think that they got a pretty good schedule to work with. And I think LA is going to hang on and finish third. Now, if you take a look at the other division, the Central, Nashville's pretty solid in first place. I think Winnipeg's pretty solid in second. Minnesota's pretty solid in third. I don't think we're going to see a lot of change there. So for the wildcard spots, that leaves us with like Anaheim, Colorado. You've also got the St. Louis Blues kind of making a charge there. Now, in the other video, I kind of said that the Blues were pretty much written off, and I didn't think they were going to come back, but they're certainly making this race interesting. They're only, they're only off the pace here, like a point or two. It gets closer all the time. It's really tightening up in there. So I personally think the Blues, they're on a good enough run that they very well could get in. So my predictions are going to be for the wild card spots. We're going to have the Anaheim Ducks and the St. Louis Blues, and I think the Colorado Avalanche, as well as they've been doing, and I hate to say it, because I've been rooting for them being an underdog team all year, and I love the season Nathan McKinnon's having, but I think the Avalanche are going to get bumped out of the wild card spot, and we're going to see the Ducks and the Blues make the playoffs. So if that's the case, we would see the Blues play the Vegas Golden Knights in the first round. We would see Nashville play the Anaheim Ducks. We would see the Winnipeg Jets play the Minnesota Wild, and then we'd see the San Jose Sharks and the LA Kings. So obviously, the Sharks and Kings, I think, are pretty well, as well as the Jets and the Wild. I think those 2 series are pretty well going to happen. I don't think there's too much debate there. And obviously, Nashville and Vegas are pretty well entrenched in their first place spots. It's just the wild card spots that are really the tough ones. But I'm going to go ahead and say Colorado's going to fall down. If you look at Colorado, their schedule is a little bit tougher than the other 2 teams. That's why I think they're going to be the team to follow. They're going to play Vegas twice. So those are going to be really tough games. They have to play LA. They have to play San Jose. They have to play St. Louis. I mean, not St. Louis, Colorado game, which is going to be huge. You're going to play the Ducks as well as the Hawks. Now, the Hawks haven't been doing so great lately. That might be a one for them to win. But the other games are not going to be, by any imagination, easy. They don't have a whole lot of schedule left against non-playoff teams. And they've got, like I said, they got 2 games against Vegas. They got to play LA, San Jose, and those are not going to be easy games. Not to say that they couldn't win, but in my opinion, I think their schedule is just a little bit too tough. And I think that, unfortunately, they're going to fall down and they're going to just miss the playoffs. They'll be the top team outside looking in and probably only missed by 1 or 2 points. So I think the Blues are going to fight their way back in. Unfortunately, they're going to draw a really tough opponent in Vegas. I'm not sure they're going to go much further than that. But either way, that's where I think things are going to fall. So leave some comments down below. What do you think of the Western Conference playoff picture? Do you see the teams that I predicted making it, or do you think it's going to be a little bit different? I don't think there's a lot of these teams are pretty well entrenched in their spots, but the wild card spots are greatly up for grabs. Even that number 3 spot in the Pacific is a little bit of an opening there. I think LA is going to hang on, but I want to know what you think. Let me know some comments down below. Who do you think is going to finish in those last few spots in the Western Conference and take the playoff spots? If you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for everyone to enjoy, so please consider subscribing if you're new. If you haven't done so already, consider checking us out on social media. You're going to find our Twitter handle on the screen right here. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and all those accounts are linked down below in the description, so check those out. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.